Welcome to the Fearful Fright series, where we will be reading with our favorite green ghoul, Grimmer. Now sit back and enjoy this twisted tale. Today our story is called Katsuhito's Second Encounter. The Second Star. It fell without fire. That was how Katsuhito Fumio knew something was wrong. No burning trail scarred the sky. No thunder followed. The night simply dimmed, as if a portion of the heavens had been quietly erased. Then the ground shuddered. Azuki Castle's watch bells rang in confusion, not alarm. Soldiers stared upward, hands hovering uselessly near swords meant for earthly threats. Oda Nobunaga stood beside Katsuhito on the ramparts, his face pale in torchlight. "It landed," the emperor said. "Not crashed." The man from the stars, the scholar, the thief, the monster and teacher, lifted his head sharply. "They've learned," he whispered. "They're no longer scouting." Katsuhito felt the familiar weight settle in his chest. "They're hunting. The place where shadows refuse to lie." The second site lay far from any village, deep within a forest that should not have existed. The trees were wrong. Their trunks spiraled upward in impossible geometry, bark translucent like dark glass. Leaves shimmered faintly, shifting color when not looked at directly. No insects buzzed. No birds dared land. Even sound seemed hesitant here. Katsuhito advanced with a small escort, chosen warriors hardened by stone and nightmare alike. The air grew colder with each step, but not from wind. From absence. Then they saw it. Hovering above a perfect circle of crushed earth was the craft. Smooth, oval, seamless. It reflected nothing, not the trees, not the sky, not even the men standing before it. It was a hole in reality shaped like a vessel. The scholar fell to his knees. "This is not a scout," he said. "This is a collector." The craft hummed. And opened. The beings that do not walk. They emerged without ceremony. Tall figures unfolded from the opening, their bodies jointed incorrectly, limbs bending where none should. Their forms were encased in living armor, translucent, pulsing, revealing shadowy shapes shifting inside. Their faces. There were none. Only smooth, curved surfaces marked by slowly rotating symbols that hurt to focus on. The soldiers screamed. Not from fear. From pressure. Something pressed against their minds, rummaging, peeling back memory and instinct alike. Men dropped their weapons, clawing at their own skulls. Katsuhito stood firm. He had endured gods, monsters, and ancient hatred. He would not bow to things. One of the beings turned toward him. It tilted, as though curious. A voice filled Katsuhito's head, not words, but concepts forced into shape. Subject confirmed. Anomaly resilient. Chains of light snapped into existence, wrapping around Katsuhito's limbs before he could draw his blade. His men shouted, rushed forward. And froze. Every soldier turned to stone simultaneously, not gradually, but with terrifying precision. Perfect replicas, locked mid-motion. Katsuhito roared. The beings did not react. The world vanished. Beyond the sky, beyond mercy. Katsuhito awoke floating. Not falling. Not standing. Suspended in a vast chamber whose walls curved endlessly, composed of living material that pulsed like the inside of a colossal heart. Dim lights drifted through the air like slow-moving stars. Gravity returned in pulses. Enough to remind him he had a body. Pain followed. His armor was gone. His scars burned faintly, reacting to unseen forces. Symbols hovered around him, orbiting like predators. A figure approached, taller than the others, its surface darker, its internal shadows more violent. "You are far from your story," it spoke. Katsuhito clenched his fists. "Where am I?" "A preserve." The word carried images, Worlds frozen, civilizations locked mid-breath, entire species stored like artifacts. You turned people into stone, Katsuhito said. Stone is a crude translation. We halt decay. By force. All survival is force. The being drifted closer. You have killed designated assets. You have disrupted harvest cycles. Katsuhito understood then. The Gorgons. The lens. The ships. All of it had been part of something vast and cold. A system. What do you want with me? The chamber darkened. You should not exist. The planet that eats names. They brought him to the surface. The sky was wrong. A massive, fractured sphere loomed overhead, so close it filled half the heavens, its surface crawling with storms and glowing scars. Beneath it stretched an endless landscape of black crystal plains, broken by towering spires grown, not built. The ground whispered. Not with voices. With memories. Katsuhito staggered as fragments of lives brushed his mind, alien thoughts, emotions too vast or too alien to comprehend, all pressed into the planet itself. This world is alive, he said. It is a record. They led him through fields of statues. Not human. Creatures of impossible form, winged giants, beings of light frozen mid-flare, entire cities compacted into crystalline monuments. A museum of conquered existence. Katsuhito's resolve hardened into something sharper than fear. You will come to my world, he said quietly. And you will die there. The beings paused. For the first time. They hesitated. The thing they could not measure. They brought Katsuhito before something vast. A structure grown from the planet itself, shaped like an open eye. Inside, reality bent inward, folding upon itself endlessly. This is the archive. You will be studied. Katsuhito laughed. A raw, broken sound. You've made one mistake, he said. Identify. You believe everything can be recorded. He closed his eyes. And remembered. Not techniques. Not battles. But choices. Pain freely accepted. Fear faced and cut down. Mercy shown where hatred was easier. The archive convulsed. Symbols flickered wildly. Error. Subject non-deterministic. Katsuhito screamed, not in defiance, but in will, and the scars across his body burned white-hot, reacting to something ancient and human the collectors could not quantify. Cracks spread across the crystalline ground. Alarms, true alarms, rang through the alien sky. Containment failure. The beings recoiled. For the first time in countless ages. They were afraid. The fall toward home. The planet shook violently. Structures collapsed inward as if reality itself were rejecting him. One of the beings lunged, attempting to seize Katsuhito. And was pulled apart by invisible forces, its form unraveling into screaming geometry before freezing mid-destruction. Stone. Even here. A vessel descended in chaos. Katsuhito was thrown inside, restraints snapping into place as the craft tore free from the planet's surface. Through the viewport, he saw it. The archive collapsing, swallowing itself. Not destroyed. Abandoned. The beings had fled. And they had left something behind. As the ship tore through the void toward familiar stars, Katsuhito felt it then. A presence. Watching. Learning. Waiting. Return is not escape. The ship burned through the sky like a wounded comet, crashing far beyond the second sight, deep within the sea. Katsuhito crawled from the wreckage alone. The night was quiet. Too quiet. Far above, the stars seemed closer. Watching. He fell to his knees, breath shaking, not from pain, but from understanding. The war was no longer hidden. It was no longer ancient. It was now. And Earth had been noticed. Katsuhito Fumio looked up at the sky, knowing one terrible truth. The collectors would return. And next time, they would not come to observe. To be continued.